Hey guys, today we're going to cover something really cool. We're going to cover Midjourney 5.2. I'm going to show you how basically AI can create whatever is in your brain and create an awesome image. And I'm going to show you all the little shortcuts, all the little nuances, and basically what all it can do. So let's get started. Hey, what's up everyone? Let's talk about something super cool today, Midjourney. Imagine a world where our wildest creative ideas can come to life with just a bit of tech magic. Well, there's this amazing AI thingy called Midjourney, straight out of San Francisco, that's doing exactly that. It's like the newest cool kid on the block in the AI world, and it's here to spice up how we create art. So who brought this awesome tool into the world? A genius named David Holes, the same guy who helped start Leap Motion. Midjourney is his latest brainwave, turning simple words into absolutely breathtaking pictures. And guess what? This adventure kicked off with a bang in July 2022, and it's been a hit, showing us all the crazy things AI can do when it comes to getting creative. Now here's the kicker. It's super easy to dive into. You don't need any fancy gear, just hop onto Discord, find the Midjourney bot, and start playing around. Type something like /imagine and boom, you've got art. Want to get fancy? Try out commands like /blend or /shorten and see where your imagination takes you. Midjourney keeps getting smarter too. With updates like model version 5.2 dropping in June of 2023, the images are getting sharper and it's getting better at understanding what you're asking for. They've even got a special model for anime and illustration styles thanks to a collab with Spellbrush. So no matter your vibe, Midjourney's got something for you. But how does it work? It's all about blending big brain language models with something called diffusion models. Basically, it takes your words, turns them into math, and then uses that to craft images by adding and removing digital noise until something awesome comes out. Science fiction? More like science fact. And the best part, it doesn't matter if you're a pro artist or if you've never drawn a stick figure. Midjourney can turn your ideas into something visually stunning. It's so good, it can even fool the experts. Of course, with great power comes great responsibility. Midjourney's not just about making cool art, it's also starting some serious chats about the ethics of AI and creativity. So let's dive in, get our hands digitally dirty, and see what amazing things we can create. Ready to explore the future of art with me? Let's go. First things first, you gotta get cozy with Discord. It's where all the magic happens. Download the app on your phone or computer and let's get rolling. Next up, find the Midjourney bot. Hop onto their website, hit join the beta, or just paste the server URL into Discord. Boom, you're in. Now let's talk cash. To start creating, you'll need a subscription. But don't panic, there's a range to fit your budget. Pick what suits you best and sign up on their site. The basic plan will cost you $10 a month and will be enough to create a lot of cool and creative images. Once you're in the server, take a little tour. There are channels for newbies and pros alike. It's a great spot to chat, pick up tips, and get inspired by what others are making. Remember that the Midjourney bot will only work in one of the newbie channels, so make sure you join one of those to start creating wonderful masterpieces. Ready to create your first masterpiece? Just type /imagine followed by your dream scene, like a serene lake at sunset, in one of the art channels. Midjourney's bot will get to work and whip up your image. Don't be shy to play around. Try blending images with /blend or get new ideas with /shorten. There's a whole toolbox waiting for you to explore. Got a favorite image? Make it even better by upscaling for a crisp look, or click around to see different takes on your idea. It's all about getting that perfect shot. When you've made something you love, go ahead and save it. Then show it off. Share it in the Midjourney community or wherever you like. Just remember, it's all open source, so your art can spark someone else's creativity too. When you're creating your images using one of the newbie channels, it can sometimes feel a little cluttered since everyone is creating at the same time, so you can see what other people's ideas are. Actually, you can view and download other people's works, as well as upscaling their images and reuse their prompts and adapt them to your very own needs. On the basic commands, you'll be using commands to interact with the bot. These commands allow you to create images, adjust settings, check your user information, and much more. You can use these commands in any bot channel, whether it's on your private Discord server as long as you've allowed the Midjourney bot to join, or directly in a message with the Midjourney bot itself. Let's get started and explore the creative possibilities with Midjourney. I'm looking forward to seeing what you create. Simply type a / and write your command, hit enter, and access the options the command gives you. This is a list of commands available for the Midjourney bot. Next up is parameters. Let's talk about tweaking your image creations with something called parameters. These are little tweaks you can add to your prompts that really change up how your images come out. Whether you want to play around with different aspect ratios, switch up the Midjourney model versions, choose a specific upscaler, or explore other changes, parameters are your go-to tools. The cool part? You just tack these parameters onto the end of your prompt. And yes, you can absolutely mix and match, adding multiple parameters to a single prompt to get your image just right. To use a parameter, you just simply add 2 dashes without spaces followed by the parameter you wish to use, then hit a space and put the value you want for the desired parameter. Let's say you want to use the stylize parameter. So it goes as follows: -- stylize space 500. Now let's dive into the most used and available parameters the Midjourney bot has to offer. Once you're in the Discord newbie room, go straight to the input bar and type /imagine to activate the command for image creation. Type your prompt and your desired parameter, in this case the aspect ratio. We're triggering 4 jobs in one to test various aspect ratios using just one prompt. Later on, I'll teach you the logic behind triggering various jobs with just one prompt. To test it, we'll be using the prompt Vibrant California Poppies --V space 5.2 space --AR 45234711. The aspect ratio parameter works like this: 2 dashes followed by AR, a space, and your desired aspect ratio, 1:1 being the default. If you don't specify your aspect ratio, then it will be 1:1 by default. Once you get your prompt and hit enter, you'll be asked if you want to trigger 4 jobs at the same time. You select yes, and your jobs will start to render. You'll see your jobs starting to render. Don't panic. If you see your jobs going up into the Discord chat, remember that everyone is creating at the same time and jobs keep piling up for the Midjourney bot. You'll see your jobs slowly rendering until they are complete. The first one we can see is our aspect ratio 4:7, which is a tall image format. If we go further down, we'll see the 4:5 aspect ratio, which is a wider format, and in this one we have bigger flowers in our image. The 1:1 is not fully rendered yet, so we'll wait a little longer, and there it is. We have these clean, beautiful images. To download the 4-image grid, just click the image and then click Open in Browser, then you can right-click and save it to your computer. Alright, next on our list is the Stylize parameter. Here's how you use it. You'll start with 2 hyphens, then an S. This parameter is all about adjusting the artistic flair of your image. You can set a value anywhere between 0 and 1000, though the default setting in Midjourney is at 100. For our experiment, we're going to try out 4 different values to really see the range of creativity we can unlock. First things first, let's head to the chat bar. We'll type /imagine, followed by our prompt, let's say a child's drawing of a cat. We'll use version 5.2, so we add --V 5.2, and then we dive into the stylized values. We're going for --S with the values of 0, 50, 100, and 250. Once our prompt is all set, we hit enter. We'll be asked if we're cool with launching 4 jobs at once. Hit yes, and just like that, our creation starts coming to life. You'll see the progress bars for each job showing how far along each image is in its rendering journey. We get to watch as our images start popping up, all generated in groups of 4. Pretty soon we've got the one with the default 100, and we're just waiting on the 250, which is getting there, sitting at 60%. Give it a minute and all 4 images will be ready for viewing. To take a closer look, just click on any of them. Let's say we zoom in on the one with 50, then check out the 250, noticing it's a bit more detailed. And of course, there's our standard 100. If you want to save any of these images, just click to open them in a browser and right-click to download. And that's how you play around with the Stylize parameter to see different levels of artistic interpretation come to life. I can't wait to see what you create with this. Alright, next on our creative journey, we're diving into the Chaos parameter. This little trick is all about mixing up the variety in the images we generate. The gist is, the higher you crank up the chaos value, the more unpredictable and wild your images will get. Some of them might even turn out super quirky or just out there. But that's the fun part, right? We get to play around with the chaos level to match the vibe we're going for. So how does it work? Well, you just type --C followed by a space and then pick a number between 0 and 100. 0 is the default, keeping things calm and collected. But you can venture all the way up to 100 for maximum unpredictability. Let's put this to the test. We'll hit up the chat bar, type /imagine, and cue up our prompt. This time, let's imagine a silver seashell sprinkled with pink embeds and green accents. We're rolling with version 5.2, and to spice things up, we're trying out chaos values of 0, 10, 25, and 50. Each value is going to unveil a set of 4 images, each set showing off how varied the outcomes can get. The higher the chaos, the more diverse the images. Hit yes when asked if you want to fire up 4 jobs at once, and watch as your creations start taking shape. Initially, they might look a bit fuzzy as they're coming together, but soon you'll see each one distinctively unfolding. The set with Chaos 25 pops out first, closely followed by a Chaos 10. It's fascinating to see how each level of chaos influences the final look. With Chaos 10, you get this nice variety, images that are distinct but not too wild. And then there's Chaos 50, where things start to get really out there, maybe even a bit too abstract for our seashell theme. At Chaos 0, the seashell's form is clear and precise, exactly what we aim for. Moving on to Chaos 10, we find a good balance, offering a mix of variety without straying too far from our original vision. And that's the chaos parameter for you. Cool way to play with the unpredictability of your art, finding the perfect balance between creativity and chaos. Can't wait to see what the chaos that you create is. Alright, next up we're going to play with the quality setting. This one's all about how long it takes to bring your image to life. You just type --Q followed by a number. Our options are pretty straightforward, 0.25, 0.5, and 1, with 1 being the default. This setting controls the render time and, in turn, the detail level of your image. So here's what we'll do. Jump over to the chat bar, type /imagine, and for our prompt, let's go with intricate woodcut of a peony. We're sticking with version 5.2, and we're going to experiment with all 3 quality levels to see them side by side. We'll type --Q followed by 0.25, 0.5, and then 1. Hit enter and confirm we want all 3 jobs to kick off simultaneously. What's going to happen next is pretty cool. We'll have 3 images rendering at different quality levels. Basically, the longer the bot takes to render, the more detailed our image will be. We're going to watch as the images start to materialize. First, the ones set at 0.25 and 0.5 finish up, and we wait on the default setting to complete. Once all 3 are ready, we'll take a closer look at each. Starting with 0.25, we can see how the image turned out, then move on to 0.5 where the details are more refined, and finally check out the one with the default setting, striking a balance between the 2 in terms of detail. And there you have it, a hands-on look at how adjusting the quality settings impacts the rendering of your artistic vision. It's a fantastic way to find just the right level of detail for your images. Alright, moving on to something really neat, the no parameter. This little trick helps us clean up our images by removing stuff we don't want. To use it, you simply type --no, add a space, and then the thing you're looking to ditch. Remember, it's got to be a single word, and you need to be clear about what you don't want. So if you're not into words or plants in your image, just specify that. Let's jump right into it. We'll head over to the chat, type /image, and set up our scene. This time we're going for a bit of experiment with 2 different prompts. The first one is a classic, a still life painting in gouache. Then we're going to do a second prompt, same setup, but this time we'll add no fruit to see what happens. As the first image comes to life, it's pretty much what you'd expect from a still life. Fruits, maybe a picture, flowers, the whole shebang. But here's where it gets interesting. When we throw in that no fruit command for the second image, the difference is like night and day. The bot gives us a still life, but this time there's not a single fruit in sight. Instead, we've got books, pencils, tables, and flowers, proving that the no parameter really does its job. And just like that, we've seen how tweaking with the no parameter can shift the whole vibe of our artwork, keeping out the elements we don't want and focusing on what we do. Pretty awesome, right? Up next, we're going to play with the repeat parameter. This handy feature lets us run multiple jobs off of a single prompt. Here's how it's done. You type a double hyphen, then R, and follow it with the number of repeats you're after. You can choose any number from 1 to 40. though by default it's set to 0. Let's dive in. We'll head to the chat, type /imagine, and lay out our scene. For this example, we're imagining a medieval knight, fully armored, riding a horse and carrying a red flag, all captured in a stunning illustration. We're sticking with the 5.2 model and setting our repeat value to 4. This means we're going to get 4 separate takes on this epic scenario. After hitting enter and confirming we want to kick off all 4 jobs, we'll start seeing our images come to life one grid at a time. Despite all of them being based on the same instructions, each one brings out its own unique twist to the tale. In the first image, we've got our knight and his horse, flags waving boldly. Moving to the second, our knight now brandishes a sword, still on horseback, with red flags making their presence known. The third might surprise us, showing the flag firmly planted in the ground. And in the fourth, the flag transforms into something resembling a cape, adding a dramatic flair to our knight's ensemble. Each vision offers a different angle on our prompt, showcasing 4 distinct, beautifully illustrated styles. Now it's just a matter of choosing which one captures the essence of our vision the best. Alright, next up on our list is the version parameter. This one lets us choose which version of Midjourney we're going to use for our creation. To set it up, you just type --v followed by the version number you want to try out. You've got options ranging from 1 all the way to 5.2. So let's get to it. We'll head over to the chat, type /imagine, and set up our scene. This time we're aiming to bring to life some vibrant California poppies. After setting our scene, we'll specify the versions we're interested in testing out, which are versions 4, 5.1, and 5.2. By doing this, we're basically saying we want to see how each of these versions handles the same prompt. After hitting enter and agreeing to launch all 3 jobs simultaneous, we'll start to see the magic happen. As each job gets going, we'll be able to track its progress and watch as our poppies take form across different grids. Each version has its own unique way of interpreting our prompt, which means we're in for a variety of results. Some versions might lean towards a more photorealistic style, while others could give us something that looks more like a painting. For instance, version 4 might give us a really lifelike portrayal of our poppies, making it hard to believe it's not a photo. Version 5.2 could dazzle us with its beauty, offering one image that looks almost indistinguishable from real life, showcasing fantastic illustration skills. And then there's version 5.1, which might present our poppies in a way that feels more like a traditional painting than a snapshot of the real thing. Each version brings its own flavor to the table, offering us rich variety to choose from. It's all about finding which one aligns the best with the visions we have in our heads. Up next, we're going to explore the tile parameter, which is super handy for creating images that work as repeating patterns for various designs. Here's how we use it. Simply type --tile at the end of your prompt. You don't need to add any value to it. Just including this parameter does the trick. It'll make sure that the image you generate can seamlessly connect on all 4 sides, giving you a perfect pattern. So let's head over to our chat window, type /imagine, and for our example, let's imagine a scribble of moss on rocks, but in a line illustration style. We'll stick with our version 5.2 and include the tile parameter in our prompt. Once we hit send, our command kicks off the rendering process. We're going to end up with 4 images that come together in a pattern. From here, we can pick the one that best fits the design we have in mind. After making our choice, we simply go back to where the images were generated, click on the one that grabbed our attention. They're numbered 1 to 4 from left to right and top to bottom. Let's say we go for number 1. Click on it, and on the same screen, you'll see the image in a larger size, ready to be saved for our pattern. For a practical test, let's jump into Adobe Illustrator. We'll upload our saved image, repeat it across our design, and watch as the images align perfectly with each other, creating a seamless pattern without any visible borders. It's a fantastic way to see how well the tile parameter works for creating cohesive patterns in your designs. Next up, we're going to dive into using the stop parameter. This one's pretty interesting because it lets us choose how fully our images get rendered, with options ranging from 10 to 100. By default, it's set to 100 because the bot aims to give us a fully finished image. However, if we decide to go for a value between 10 and 99, we'll end up with an image that's, well, not quite finished. But that's exactly what we might be looking for in certain projects. Here's how to use it. Just add --stop followed by your chosen value at the end of your prompt. Let's get to it. We'll hop over to the chat, type /imagine, and for our example, let's go with an oak leaf made from wooden inlay. We're sticking with version 5.2, but this time we're going to experiment with the different stop values like 10, 30, 50, and 70. After hitting enter and confirming we want all 4 jobs to run at the same time, we'll watch as our image grids start to form. This is where it gets exciting. You'll see each image coming to life, each one stopping at the different stages of rendering we chose. We've got our first image stopping at just 10%, giving us a glimpse into the early stages. Then there's the 70%, which is almost fully there, showing us much clearer picture and higher quality than the rest. It's fascinating to see how each stop value affects the final look of our image, giving us a range of options for our work, barely sketched out to nearly complete. It's a cool way to play around with the rendering process, giving us creative control over how detailed or abstract we want our final images to be. Next, we're diving into the seed parameter. This one's all about getting consistent results with the same prompt. Unlike the repeat parameter, which mixes things up using a specific seed value, lets us produce similar, if not identical outcomes every time. Here's how it works. Even though the default setting is random, we can pin down a specific number to guide the generation process. Let's say we go with the number 4525, or even something simple like 123. This value acts as our recipe for creating the image. Let's put it into action. We'll type /imagine in our chat, and for this example, our prompt will be a Celadon owl picture using version 5.2. To apply our seed, we type --seed followed by our chosen number, in this case 123. What we'll see next are 4 images of our owl picture, each with its unique flair. But here's where it gets interesting. If we use the exact same prompt with the same seed number again, we'll expect to see the same results. Send off the prompt once more and voila. The images generated are identical to our first batch. It's like hitting pause and play on the creative process, ensuring we can replicate results whenever we want. Now for a little experiment. We're going to compare these identical images side by side just to double check their similarity. But let's also explore variations within this consistency. We choose one of the images, say the third one in both sets, and look into variations for each by clicking on V3 for both the first and second batch. After they render, we notice something cool. Even though the base images were identical, the variations introduce slight differences. In one set, the table and fruits are more prominent, while in another, those elements might fade into the background, bringing other details to the forefront. This gives us a fantastic tool to not only replicate our favorite creations, but also to explore subtle differences within those parameters, allowing us to fine-tune our final selection to perfectly match our needs. Alright, we're moving on to the Style Raw parameter next. This one's interesting because it lets us switch up the default way our Midjourney bot creates images. Here's how we'll do it. Type --style raw right after our prompt. This command changes the bot's approach to generating our image, so we're going to see how it plays out with the fun example. Let's jump over to the chat and type /imagine. Setting our scene with an ice cream icon prompt, we'll kick things off using 5.2 just to get a feel for what the bot normally dishes out. After hitting enter, we're greeted with 4 ice cream cones popping up into a pretty detailed and attractive illustration style. Next, we're going to run the same prompt, but spice it up with the --style raw command to compare. So /imagine ice cream icon version 5.2 --style raw. And let's see what happens. This time around, the bot throws us a curveball, giving us ice cream cones with a more cartoonish vibe. When we zoom in, it's clear these icons lean more towards a vector style, simpler and more straightforward than the intricate illustrations we saw first. It's fascinating to see the difference just one parameter can make, shifting from detailed art to something that feels more playful and graphic. It's a great way to tailor the bot's output to match exactly the style you're looking for in your project. Next up, we're going to dive into the weird parameter. This one's all about pushing the boundaries and exploring some out-of-the-box aesthetics for our images. Here's how it works. You type --w followed by a value that ranges from 0 to 3000. Starting at 0, which is the default, the higher you go, the more unconventional your results will be. Let's get started. We'll head over to our chat and type /imagine, setting up our scene with a cat cyanotope prompt. We're sticking with versions 5.2, but this time we're going to experiment with different levels of weird by setting the parameter to 0, 250, 500, and 1000. After hitting enter and confirming we're okay with launching all 4 jobs at once, we'll watch as our cyanotope cats come to life. As the images start to form across the 4 grids, we'll see variations unfold based on the levels of weird we chose. Starting with 0, we get 4 pretty realistic images of cats in the unique blue hue that cyanotopes are known for. It's quite a beautiful and straightforward result. But then as we move up the weird scale, at 250, things start to get a bit more unusual. The images are still clearly of cats, but now they're sleeping in a lake with some unexpected elements like a cityscape thrown into the mix, placed in various areas, adding a surreal touch. Jumping to 500, the weirdness escalates. We see techniques that remind us of double exposure, blending the cats with other elements in even stranger ways. And at 1,000, we hit peak weird, with a style that's almost like scrapbooking. The images take on a highly unusual appearance, but despite the high level of weirdness, they're still intriguingly well crafted. Alright, let's dive into crafting the perfect prompt. Think of it as putting together the pieces of a puzzle. You've got to consider a few elements: the main subject, the style where the action's happening, how it's lit, the colors you're imagining, the surrounding environment, and the overall vibe you're aiming for. Let's start simple. We'll head over to our chat, type /imagine, and for example, we're picturing studio photography of an astronaut on a horse, all wrapped up in an earthy color scheme. We're going to stick with version 5.2 and spice things up by adding a dash of chaos. Let's say a value of 50 to see a range of outcomes. After hitting enter, we're on the edge of our seats waiting to see what comes up, and there it is, the main star of our show, the astronaut, starts to appear in various scenarios. The results, well, they're all over the place. We've got our astronaut riding not just horses, but also ending up on a motorcycle, and in a couple of cases, it's a bit hard to tell what's going on. Despite not nailing the earthy color palette in the traditional sense, the images still carry a vibe that resonates with our theme. If you squint a bit, you'll notice each scene is bathed in dust, swirling around our astronaut and their steed or bike, giving it that rugged outdoor feel we're aiming for. Especially the two images at the bottom. They're really hitting the mark, capturing the essence of what we imagined, with our astronaut heroically mounted on a horse amidst a cloud of dust. It's pretty close to the adventurous character we wanted to bring to life. Alright, let's kick things up a notch with an advanced prompt that lets us generate multiple jobs from just one go. This means we can play around with different variables right in our prompt to see a variety of outcomes. For our experiment, we're going to type /imagine and then set up a scene that's a bit out there. A cinematic shot of an astronaut riding a whale and another with a rabbit, all splashed in vibrant colors using version 5.2. We'll also throw in some chaos, setting one seat at 50 and another at 100, just to spice things up and see what kind of creative mayhem we can unleash. After hitting enter, the system's going to ask if we're cool with starting 4 jobs at once. Because our prompt's packed with variables, it's going to be a busy one. We've got 2 variations of our astronaut adventure, one on a whale, one on a rabbit, each with its own chaos setting of 50 and 100. Now as our images start popping up, we're in for a treat. The first one's already out and fully formed. Time to take a look. Well, it seemed like our ambitious prompt took us on a wild ride. In one, we've got a whale bursting with color, but oops, no astronaut in sight. Then there's an astronaut on what looks more like a motorcycle than a whale or rabbit. And another scene's got a starry sky with a distant figure that's kinda, sorta astronautish, surrounded by colors. And then there's this one image with a person in a yellow suit surrounded by a rainbow of hues. Not exactly what we had in mind, but interesting nonetheless. Digging deeper, one of the images with chaos set at 50 gets us closer to our vision. We've got a spaceship that's whalish in shape, and one image even shows an astronaut riding a whale in a sea of colors. Bingo, that's the jackpot. Right in line with our wild idea. Moving on to the rabbit scenario with chaos at things veer off script again. We've got something resembling an astronaut-rabbit hybrid, then just colors and vibes without our furry friend. The final take with chaos at 100, let's just say it's a creative interpretation that doesn't quite match up with our initial envision. Featuring a rabbit that's maybe more mouse-like and settings that veer off into the unexpected. This whole exercise shows how versatile and unpredictable prompts can be, letting us test out different ideas and see a spectrum of results. It's a fun way to push the boundaries of our creativity and see just how far we can take our imaginations with the bot's help. Alright, next up, we're going to dive a bit deeper and mix in a few parameters to really hone in on the exact image we're envisioning. We'll be adding about 3 parameters to aim for a scene that's not just more realistic, but also nails the specifics of what we're after. So let's jump right in. Heading over to our chat, we'll type /imagine, and for this scenario, we're picturing an open angle shot of a girl in a vibrant tulip field under a clear blue sky. We'll stick with version 5.2, opt for a cinematic 16:9 aspect ratio, dial in a chaos value of 20 to keep things a bit orderly, and throw in a no birds parameter to ensure our skies stay clear of any feathered photobombers. After hitting enter, the magic starts to happen. We're presented with a grid of 4 images, each offering a glimpse into the scene we've set up. The results? Quite the assortment. We've got a mix with 2 images featuring a somewhat older girl and the other 2 showcasing a younger one. In 3 out of 4 shots, the camera's angle is wide enough to capture both the girl and the lush tulip field, while the last one zooms in for a closer look, focusing more on the girl herself. Although one image teases us with just a glimpse of the girl, making the tulips a bit of the tease, overall the quality's spot on. Now let's focus on downloading image number 2 and number 4, picking out the ones that really bring out the natural vibe we're aiming for and best match the original concept of our tulip field daydream. Next up, we're going to experiment with incorporating an image into our prompt, which is a pretty cool way to get even more specific with what we're aiming for. The plan is to pick an image that captures the essence of what we want. Think character vibes, style, or color scheme, and then upload it to Discord to use it as a reference. Here's how we'll tackle it. First off, we'll find the perfect image that speaks to our vision and simply drag and drop it into our Discord chat. Discord makes it super easy to upload, and once it's there, we can grab the link to this image because we're going to use it right at the start of our prompt. With the image link copied, we're ready to craft our detailed prompt. We kick things off with the link to our reference image, then hit space and add the juicy details of what we're envisioning. For this scenario, let's say we're conjuring up an oil painting of someone holding a cigar, aiming for a pale color palette against a somewhat dark backdrop. We're going all out with the specifics using version 5.2, setting our canvas to a 9:16 aspect ratio, dialing in a chaos level of 5 for a touch of unpredictability, and cranking up the style factor to 80. After hitting enter, we let the bot do its thing, processing our request and starting to work its magic. The anticipation builds as the image begins to render, and soon enough we're greeted with our creation. The reference we used? A photo of a guy with cool shades, effortlessly holding a cigarette, dressed to impress. And what the bot delivers doesn't disappoint. 4 high-quality images that reinterpret our dude into a middle-aged man, this time in a robe suit, with each image capturing him enjoying a smoke. The smoke swirls around him, and each image is beautifully rendered in oil paint, sticking to the pale color palette we asked for. It's fascinating to see how the reference image influenced the final artwork, guiding the bot to produce something that respects our initial inspiration while adding its own artistic flair. The result? A set of images that perfectly blend our ideas with the bot's creative interpretation. Now with our references in place, it's time to shape the rest of our prompt. We're envisioning an illustration of a cyborg boy in a neon-lit city bursting with vibrant colors. To bring this vision to life, we're adding a few extra touches. We're sticking with version 5.2, setting our canvas to a 16:9 aspect ratio, keeping the chaos at a low 1 to maintain focus, and dialing in a stylized value of 50 for that artistic flair. After hitting enter, we watch as our bot starts weaving together our vision, using the 3 reference images as a foundation. Each image brings something unique to the table, yet all of them share the vibrant cybernetic vibe we were aiming for. Intrigued by one particular image? Let's call it image number 3. We decide to zoom in and explore variations of this scene. We hit B3 to spark a new wave of creativity, focusing solely on this image. Slowly but surely, a new set of images unfold before us, each one a variation on our chosen theme. And there you have it, 4 stunning pieces that not only match our initial vision, but also bring their own unique flavor to the cybernetic theme we're exploring. We've got our city, our neon glow, and our cyborg character all coming together in a symphony of digital art. Now it's just a matter of saving each of these gems separately, ready to be admired and perhaps inspire our next creative adventure. So what'd you guys think of Midjourney? It's pretty awesome, right? Well, I hope you like this video, and we have a cheat sheet, if you want to call it that. It's more like a guide because it's 25 pages long, but we have a guide that shows you how to use Midjourney, and that 25-page guide, there's lots of pictures, so it's not 25 pages of just pure text. You know, that'd be boring. So anyway, it's a lot of visuals and basically prompts and so forth telling you how to use it. You can get that for free. There's a link in the description, and all you got to do is sign up for our email newsletter, and you'll have that in your inbox. I hope you like this video. I hope I can earn your subscription to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps out a small channel like mine. So hit that like button and subscribe, and I appreciate you. Take care. Let's go make bazillions.